Yeah.
only eyes. So
Yeah.
without the mask, I really can't.
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah.
nodding away. That's
Yeah.
the truth.
Okay, so you
Your name is Brooke?
Suzanne.
I'm
Oh.
Caelyn.
Caitlin, okay.
Yes, Brooklyn's not quite here yet. I don't, but
Okay.
she might have another class right before this, so I'm not sure.
So this talks about we have 15 minutes, but then it starts out.
It's really 15 minutes
Okay,
in
and
between.
with the question.
Yes, yes.
So we'll have 10 minutes between
Yeah.
Caelyn. Okay, and then introduces themselves.
Right.
And then,
So immediately after the introduction, we step into the questions and the presentation aspect of it.
okay.
I think this may have been a typo because
I figured.
yeah, we used the template from last
Yes.
year. Yeah. Yeah, and I
So my last name does not have, it's ECKEND.
oh
that's okay.
Weckland.
Weekend. No
Weckend,
L.
no oh
No L, just an E.
He's been calling this one girl Macy Marcy for the entire semester, and it was like including on our like lesson plans and like even last week he put Marcy, and
It's hard.
she's in like 3 of his classes. So, but he likes to add R's in people's names, like I'm a Caroline.
I think probably it's like accent.
We know each other.
That's brilliant. See, I knew that.
Really well from Daniela. Daniela was at Arbutus when she got ill.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So just telling us back from Vancouver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Late last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, and when Brooke, you can even go first if Brooke is not here in a couple of minutes. You
Yeah,
could go first.
that'd be fine.
Yeah. And then she just join in because she might have got held up somewhere.
Yeah.
So what I've done here to make it easy, so to show Caelyn is if you click on I put the schedule here. So all you do is click on your name here
Take you to the
and it will take you to the portfolio, right?
okay.
And basically it's recording the screen. So if we go here, click on it, didn't want to click because that opens up and you see it's green. That means it's recording that screen.
Okay.
You can see that green outline. So
Okay.
I'm recording it in Zoom. So
okay.
then I give them
So
the
then we
videos at the
can
end
get the videos.
and then Caelyn can reflect on the 15-minute interview with the 2 of you.
Okay.
And my hope is that when I get her again in another class in 452, I go back to it. And
Okay.
it's like the launching point
Okay.
and it'll help her remember everything she learns.
Okay.
Because what we do courses, right? And then we forget everything. So it's my way of trying to make it so that she goes, oh yeah, that's where I was a year ago,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Using technology.
And so
Yeah.
based on what you did a while ago, we don't need
No.
the Zoom link that you have
It's all- yeah, it's
embedded.
just
Okay.
doing automatically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all set up to go. And I can unplug this. I just put it to make sure you had extra
What is
power.
Education. I'm
So you can sit and have a chat now.
curriculum and
Record it,
instruction.
yeah.
focus
Go on the
on
hotspot.
Culturally responsive assessment.
Sounds good to me. I don't mind.
So apart from this, that's the added component to culturally responsive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Susan.
But I'm looking at
Anything?
higher ed. Start now?
You guys, yeah, you guys can start now.
Okay. So Caelyn should have been with you, but I'll start
Oh.
off
Yeah.
because I'm one. I should be with Brooke and it's 10.
Oh, no, I think we both.
I think you guys
Both of
both,
us? Okay,
yes, and
okay.
yes, he
Okay.
was saying above to Suzanne before that you guys can just like take turns going through.
And if Brooke gets here, we'll let her know her interview will be at 10:15.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, sounds good.
Alrighty. So, I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves or if you want me to introduce myself first, but I'm Caelyn. I'm a 3rd-year student here in the Faculty of Education in the physical and health education parts. And I'm wanting my second teaching area to be French. I still need to I'm taking some classes next semester on that. So, and throughout the next couple of years, but yeah.
And I'm Suzanne Weckend. I'm currently the vice principal at Arbutus Global Middle School. I went to UVic. I swam for UVic. Big sport background. I competed for Canada as a swimmer and then triathlete, and started as a teacher, high school teacher. And yeah, I'm back in Victoria and here today. Excited about it.
Beautiful. And I'm Denisha. Griffin, currently a PhD candidate in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. I too played sports actively. I was a professional basketball player at one point representing my country. And at the end of that, I transitioned into education, and I've done that for 15 years, in the classroom from K to adult ed. So here I'm really here, excited to see what you've been doing and where you're going.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's a broad age group to
Oh,
work
yeah,
with.
yeah.
All very different.
Mm.
So, I didn't really go into much about other than that.
So the program, and
program,
then, do you intend to apply to the BEd secondary post-degree
Yeah,
program?
I still have a couple years. I had a couple concussions and got diagnosed with epilepsy in my first and second years of university. So I had to drop a couple of courses, and I was a varsity athlete for the rugby team. So I'm a little behind in my schooling, but I do want to apply, and I want to be a high school teacher. I coach 3 different rugby teams in Victoria, and I coach basketball at Esquimalt too, and I've been coaching basketball there for 5 or 6 years now. So I coach a lot outside of school, so I like putting my learning from that into the classroom. So yeah,
Okay, beautiful. So we'll move right along.
great.
Continue.
Yeah.
We'll chat about the basketball coaching aspect.
Yes.
So you can connect Danielia with that. That's where she wants
Oh,
to go, my youngest.
And Brooklyn plays for the varsity basketball team here.
Awesome. So based on our questions, identify one UVic teacher education competency that you think is particularly important, and tell us why.
So one competency that I think is really important is developing an awareness of my own worldview and others' worldview. I show this in my portfolio. I have my land acknowledgement here. We can watch it. It's about a couple minutes long. Oh, it's about 7, but I can talk about it. And I have my land acknowledgement here. This is not exactly what I said, but it's what I basically went over is because I grew up in Alberta, and my Indigenous education there wasn't really very adequate. I remember learning about like the pros of colonization, and like how Indigenous people and the colonizers are friends, and Indigenous people helped the colonizers. And I didn't learn anything about residential schools. I didn't learn that like basically colonizers like took the land from the Indigenous people. And so when I moved out here, that was a big shift. And I know BC is really actively trying to transition into focusing more onto Indigenous education, which I think is very valuable. So I'm working, like since moving here, I'm working more on growing my education in Indigenous background and figuring out ways to apply it to a PE setting, which I'm like been struggling with, because it's hard for me to think of a way to apply Indigenous practices to like a PE standpoint. I can figure out ways to do it in other classroom settings, but I find like sports kind of a difficult way, but I'm trying, that's like one of my goals I talk about in my portfolio is doing more research and getting more background information so that I can learn and take those practices from Indigenous peoples and apply them to the classroom, because I think it's just an important thing to include, and I like most classes are working towards involving Indigenous practices, so I think PE is no different. So yeah,
I truly appreciate that response, especially from a cross-curricular standpoint, where we look at how it's not only a way of knowing and living for a people, but for us to embrace that cultural knowledge and apply it across curricula. It's beautiful. And when you mentioned the PE standpoint, I'm currently working with a PDP group. These are persons who are also, some of them, in applying Indigenous ways of knowing in physical education, in terms of not only games, but in terms of just that connection with the earth, appreciating the land, appreciating the space, and connecting each other in such a way that we appreciate us as humans, right? And not above and beyond that, right? The land, the sea, the air, the trees, but also us, right? So that's beautiful. Now, focusing on that specific competency, can you show us in your portfolio how well you feel your skills are progressing in relation to that competency?
So like I was saying in the video, in that specific, okay. Are you asking the second question or is
Yes.
it, okay, okay.
The second
Yeah,
part.
okay, yeah, so I talk about it down here. I'm working to expand a lot of my worldviews, like I said. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Dr. Hopper is very good at this and providing different resources of indigenous practices and terminology. And so I can take that information and just build on it. And in my land acknowledgement, I did some further research into back home in where I'm from in Alberta to learn more about that specific Indigenous history on Treaty 7, which is where I grew up. So I'm working, let me see.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
so
doing
that's how I'm progressing
progressing,
in my competency.
Good. And really taking that decolonial approach.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Oh, no, I think Brooklyn's able to watch. I think that's what yeah.
Okay.
I think, because yeah,
No pressure.
we watch for 15 and then we interview for 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as you were saying, taking that decolonial approach, ensuring that you are doing the research, you have the knowledge and you can apply
Yeah.
accordingly.
Yeah, the 7 principles of Indigenous learning are definitely, I would suggest focusing on those because like the idea that learning takes time. I think in the PE and sport realm, we don't expect to be the best right away or expect to learn something immediately. And that would be one you might.
Yeah, I think that's I think Dr. Hopper actually, that's one of the resources that I was referring to that he has connected us to. So that's part of our lesson plans. We had to connect it to Indigenous practices, and the 7 principles were in that as well. So
Would you like to share with us 1 or 2 of your most significant artifacts in your portfolio and tell us how those artifacts demonstrate your ability to address another one of the competencies?
Yeah, 2 seconds. My thing disappeared.
I was impressed with the folios.
It's confusing. It's so confusing.
Just like think about our own.
Okay, so the 2 artifacts that I'm wanting to provide to like show my ability to address a competency. The competency I'm wanting to focus on for this portion is the disciplinary concepts and using and understanding how learners learn. So in these 2, there's 2 right there. I talk about play, practice, play method, and then this is a response to a forum post my peer did, and she describes the reciprocal teaching style and the divergent teaching style, and those 2, I compared those 2, like reciprocal teaching style when I coach my rugby team, and then I compared the divergent style to when I'm an athlete and my coach uses that style to me, and I found that works really well. I included, so for the play, practice, play, this goes to show how I use this method in my elementary school team. So I just go into how I use it. And so I start off with a drill here where they're trying to score in the try zone. So this is the play. Then we take it to a practice where I do handling drills. And then 3-on-2, which is building game sense. And then we bring it back to the same game at the beginning. And then this is just providing an example of the divergent. This is just rugby plays where the students have to, or the athletes have to use decision-making skills. And so that brings into the divergent style because it transfers very well to the game and makes us have to think, which develops our game sense, I find.
Could you describe divergent?
So the divergent style is kind of giving the teacher gives like an activity, and then there's a variety of ways that they could go, and the students have to choose and make the right decision in a sense. Like it gives them a multitude of options, like a goal to get through. So like my goal could be like, I want you to score a try here. The defenders will look like this. You have to be able to find the best way or find a way to score on the try line when the defenders look like this. So they have to kind of like think about what the best way is, and it's more of a hands-on and like critical thinking, a higher level of teaching style for like a higher level of learner. I find that it really depends on this type of learner. It is what teaching style to use, which I actually go into talking about in my reflection, is that I can I put it just as an emerging here because I find like I can do it well in a coaching setting and like on a sports team when the students are a higher level of learning and want to be involved. But I found when I was teaching at Arbutus, it was quite difficult to use anything but a command style of teaching because the students just didn't really pay attention very well. But I think that if I had more time to spend with them, because we only got 4 lessons of 45 minutes, we didn't get to know the students very well. And when we organized, we had an observation time we had organized, but it ended up being with not the same teacher and not the same class that we ended up doing our teaching with. But I think if I had more time to learn about the students and learn about how each person kind of works and how the class dynamic is, it would have been easier to find different teaching styles other than just a command style of teaching, because actively I only got to teach 1 lesson, and yeah, each of us just taught 1. So yeah.
How do you think these artifacts and your reflections in your digital portfolio show your belief about how learning happens in PE and in education more generally?
So I think that question again. These artifacts show my beliefs in when it comes to PE is that it's like a lifelong learning skill, and what you learn in physical and health education really can affect your life like long term. So I think it's really important to get students involved and active in the classroom and wanting to engage. And so an example I have of this is when I'm trying to get the students engaged. I planned my lesson that I was teaching was right before Halloween. So I really wanted to get the kids engaged. We were teaching a disc golf lesson. So I did the disc golf targets up as Ghostbusters. So I think like getting students engaged and actively wanting to be involved can help them learn, and it's important because health is lifelong. Unlike, I don't remember the things I learned in like math class or science, but it might not affect me long term, but being able to stay physically active and prevent disease and illness is really important. And then the last part of that was what is something I'm wanting to work on. And I talked about this earlier in the interview, is that I'm wanting to continue researching and expanding my knowledge on Indigenous worldviews and practices so that I can involve them better in the classroom, so that students that I teach don't end up going into education and being like, oh, there was a whole genocide of peoples that I didn't even know about. So I don't want to fail my future students by not educating them properly. So that's one of my goals, is to just really focus on educating myself so I can educate others better. So yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. What I love is that you are unlearning and relearning a lot of stuff, and making a concerted effort to ensure that you change that for the future. And I applaud you.
Thank you.
And your comments about your experience teaching at Arbutus is so the relationship piece.
Oh yeah.
As a teacher, creating that culture, that sense of connection and belonging in the class goes so far.
Yeah.
And would like you noted with the divergent.
Yes.
Yes, that it would make a huge difference.
Mhm.
So you notice that and you know that, and so I'm sure you will focus on that when you become a teacher and you have your own class.
Exactly, your own class.
Yeah, I like being very personable. Like I coach at Macaulay Elementary and I have like
Oh.
40 elementary schoolers. And when I started there, it was a big task because it was just me. But then now I get to know the students I'm coaching there. This will be my 3rd year, and every time I go, because I work in out of school care through Macaulay as well, all the random kids in the rugby team are like, come play, come play. Like,
They feel-
so I find connection really
Oh,
helps
yes.
involve them as
Oh, yes.
well. So
And just to know a student's name and acknowledge them makes them feel so valued, you know, so immediately you can say, hi, Sam. Oh, she knows my name, you know, and so it builds that connection and relationship.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your beautiful presentation. and for sharing that.
Thank you. Is this yours? Oh, Brooklyn, is this? Yeah, that one's fine. There we go.
Do you want to stop and pause the video and then start again so the files are separate, or do you want one?
I might
Pause.
And I was the vice principal at Macaulay before I.
Oh,
was at
really?
Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, oh, they're so lucky to have you there.
No, I love it there. It's so fun.
Pause or-
Maybe